The story of Charlie Payne. Please help me welcome Sherry.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, Madam President and guests. This story, when they asked today if there was anybody who would like to speak, I kind of jumped on it without thinking, and I will try not to wander through this. The other day, I'm blessed to have some just amazing friends that I know, and there's a gentleman named Charlie Payne, and I'd like to tell you his story because everybody in the room was weeping when he told us the story. Charlie Payne started out, he was in the 2nd Ranger Battalion ever. So the second class that ever happened in the Ranger Battalion. He was the commanding officer, and he wound up going to 2 tours in Vietnam, leading a Ranger group. And back then, it wasn't a battalion, it was 4 men. So he was responsible for the lives and taking care of these 4 men. And he's actually, that group is the actual group that went in and blew up the island. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Vietnam War. They snuck into North Vietnam. They actually planted bombs, and they helped achieve some great advances in the Vietnam War. Fortunately, on the way back, he was captured. They broke both his legs. He was almost dead. They punctured his lung. And Charlie was near death. And back in the Vietnam War, the Chinese were allowed to go across the border for humanitarian efforts. So this Chinese doctor and these 2 Chinese nurses, he was locked in a tiger cage. So he's in one of those cages you see in the movies. He was literally in one of those cages dying. And a Chinese doctor and these 2 nurses came back. They nursed him back to health. They fixed his legs. They helped him escape. They fed him every day, and they helped him escape. So Charlie Payne felt that he had a debt that he owed. So, of course, he came back to the United States. He didn't have much money. He went to work for one of the lumber companies, warehouser down south. His degree was it was like in some obscure business degree. It had nothing to do with what he wound up becoming. But because he felt this gratitude and this debt that he owed, his brother was in the CIA, so he asked him to please help him find this doctor and these 2 nurses back in China. So he saved his money, got enough money together, went back to China. It took him 3 weeks, but they found those 3 people. So he went to the doctor and he said, "What can I do for your country? How can I help you?" And the guy says, "We have no way of detecting things like diabetes, simple diseases. We have no way of helping our people are dying. We have no way to do this." So Charlie came back to the United States. He developed, with a pharmaceutical company, tools to detect certain diseases. He then went back to the government over there and said, "Look, I'm giving you this. Here's some new technology." He gave it to the Chinese government. Now, this man had no pharmaceutical background whatsoever. Again, he's repaying this debt to these people. He then was one of the first Americans to be able to do business in China when they opened up the doors. They allowed him to open a pharmaceutical company. And again, he was giving the technology to the Chinese because this one man and these 2 women had helped him. So after that, he brought the doctor back to the U.S., got him a U.S. education. He brought both nurses back, got them trained in the U.S. All 3 of them went back to China to help their people. Not one of them stayed in the U.S. Charlie Payne then adopted, of course, a Chinese daughter. He has 9 pharmaceutical companies. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. And to this day, he gives all of that, the credit to these 3 people that risked their lives to save his life. And it's an amazing story. He's just an amazing man. And when he was telling the story, here's like a 6'3", very tough, buff guy, and he just had tears in his eyes that these people saved his life, and that changed his life entirely. And again, now he's one of the wealthiest, richest men in the world because of what happened to him. So that's my story.